Coming to you from Studio HQ, it's another episode of the Sunder Katz. Why Sunder? Because talking about something different, in particular in this episode is Behemoth Comics. And why Cats is because we're the coolest cats in town. I am Dodgy in the mix, mixing it up with Rabbit, Paul Gomez. Hello.
How you doing?
Very, very good. Very exciting because Behemoth isn't really a comic book I've had a whole lot of the experience with in terms of reading. The company only came out in 2020, founded in Dallas, Texas, by Nathan Yoakum and Ryan Swanson. Their books are distributed through Simon & Schuster as well as Diamonds, which means you'll get them in your local comic book store. You can also pick them up digital on Amazon as well as their official website, allhailbehemoth.com. Rabbit, I want to hear from you. Company I haven't really had a whole lot of experience with, but what did you think when you touched a Behemoth book?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had too much experience with them either, them being brand new. Before I started getting into the comic book scene, if you will, I did hear about them, and I had seen one or two of their books on the shelves and picked them up myself. I enjoy their stuff from what I had read before and didn't really know who they were, but I've heard so much about them that they seem to be making huge strides in the comic industry.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I just think their books are instrumental in creator owned because I'll find a lot of the creators I've been researching are not from the US or even English speaking backgrounds, which is amazing.
Which definitely means that they're keeping their eyes open, not just here in the States, but everywhere. And seeing their website, looking at their stuff, they don't really seem like they're brand new because some of their stuff seems like it's more progressed than a lot of other people's. And it had so much more merchandise, so many more comics on it. And I don't know if other people take comics down that often, but they had such a wide variety that it really surprised me that they were only two years in.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the fact that they're getting already developed projects from overseas and then bringing them to the Western audience because again, you look at the books we're going to be talking about later, and they're really, really fantastic. So they must have had some sort of visualization or some production in another country, and then they're brought to the English-speaking audience, and we're just like blown away, so to speak. Like it is amazing.
It really is, especially with their wide range of titles that they have. I was shocked that they were only 2 years in.
Yeah, definitely. And their website does include a lot of merchandise, whether it be pins, T-shirts, stickers, and the fact that they're doing records as well. So
records and cassettes.
Yeah, which is amazing. So it almost has that nostalgic feel, especially if you're into music. And doing a bit of research as well. Some of the artists that actually draw comics for Behemoth actually do record cover art, which is very, very impressive.
Right.
Yeah, so utilizing their existing tools. And here we see some examples of what is included on their website through their Behemoth record company. Again, musicians I'm not all that familiar with, being a bit older, but definitely if you're just after something a little bit original, a bit different, there could be music there for you.
And a lot of comic books nowadays are putting music to comics as a unique way of storytelling. This is one of the things that I've seen kind of just jump up and sprout everywhere is like some people are putting a soundtrack to their comic to kind of entice those readers into it. You never know if they're going to be doing that along the lines further down the road.
Well, I guess, if you think about some writers, they could be writing comics, writing stories, as well as writing music. I mean, it's still writing.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to lie to you. One of my books, I was thinking about putting a soundtrack to. It was a little bit difficult for me to introduce that concept. It's being brand new. I was worried just about the writing. But I figured somewhere down the road, I might do that as well.
Yeah, because I know Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, he actually was doing Young Animal for DC Comics, which was like another like imprint, a little bit edgier. And he actually wrote a song for that particular group of comic books. So, you know, having that sort of music background, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, oh wow.
And that was one of the things that really hindered me. I don't really have that music knowledge, but you know, one of my inspirations for Bushibu Circus was The Greatest Showman. So I was like, why can't I put a song or two to one of these books?
Exactly.
And you know, with Behemoth having all this stuff behind them, with them having these audios, it's just easy to cross those streams over.
Yeah,
Fit in a
absolutely.
CD or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and having the cover art on there, like why not? And one thing with Behemoth as well, they got some submissions as well. So if you are interested in submitting some work, if you're an artist, if you're a storyteller, and they want examples. So you definitely, if you've got stories in your head, or if you've got, you know, a book that you want to just issue out, this is the opportunity for you.
And I don't know if you've read all the stuff for it, but they'd also ask you to make sure that you include All Hail Behemoth. I like that little aspect to it. It's because
Yeah,
I was submitting some books, and that little thing there just kind of made me uplifted, just putting that in my submission as well.
Well, you know what? It actually proved that you read it. You know,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't actually read the full requirement. So seeing that you read it, like that makes me smile because, again, that's I guess you know some people are just overzealous and just want to submit.
Yeah.
And not just pay attention to that little bit of detail. So I think it's a little nod. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Put it somewhere at least. proves to the people who are reading your scripts that you've actually read it. So I really, really like that.
Right.
But it is a good website. It's very you know, it's very simple. It's very clean as well. Yeah. So again, allhailbehemoth.com. Check it out if you want to you know, browse through their titles as well as the submissions as well. And then that's where you go to for your submissions. All right, now we're going to be talking books. This is the interesting part. So the first book we'll be talking about today is Nine Stones by Italian creator Samuel Spano. Like the art in this is like a crazy. It's almost like storyboard, but times 1,000. Going to go to you now, Robert. What did you think of Nine Stones?
You know, we've been doing so many of these web comic books and stuff, and whenever I was looking at this is kind of what it reminded me of, that feel and that unique, different art, and the way it flowed. It was just so seamless and unique that it really fit the story, and definitely let it flow really well.
Yeah. And I mean, it does have that simple kind of like the Breaking Bad. You know, you got a guy that's kind of a front for, I think it's like drug dealing or some form of illegal activity. But then there's a supernatural twist to it as well. So here we are thinking it's just a general story about, you know, a bus gone wrong. But there's a supernatural twist to it as well. And we really are left without answers at the end, wondering what the supernatural being is for and why it's there. And but I think, you know, great, the story, the you know, the art is fantastic. I can't deny that. The especially the facial expressions, you can identify the different characters. But it's the dialogue. I want to talk to you about that. Considering that you're a writer, Rabbit, so what did you think of the, you know, the writing in this book?
Well, I definitely think that they set up for a few different arcs. You know, that's one of the things that you don't really see in many comic books. You know, sometimes they'll set up one main arc, but like you were saying, there's that supernatural thing, and then there's that bust whenever I guess it was a gangster kind of bust kind of thing. And it did leave up a lot of questions, but it flowed so well that it didn't seem like you got lost in it. So whenever I was looking at the writing, it seemed to go very well.
Yeah, because I really like the dialogue. You've got the older fellow, and he's like having to babysit the boss's son, and thinking that the boss's son is a privileged little brat, and you kind of sense that sort of that animosity between the characters, but somehow he kind of realized, well, he's not really such a brat after all. And I like that. Like the younger fella's trying to prove himself that he's not a spoiled brat. And, I really like the dialogue. And also like the choice for the word balloons. I thought that's quite unique as well. What do you think of the word balloons?
I thought the tales of it were really well.
Yeah.
I try to study a lot of stuff whenever I was doing it myself, and they talk about the way the tales of the word balloons go. It was definitely a little bit different in this than most, so that made it a little unique.
Yeah.
There was also, some of the times where it just flowed in a different direction than I probably would have went, but it worked well in this case.
Yeah. And I think this could be like the proof of the pudding when it comes to European comic book styles. I think their word balloons are a bit different to, say, the American style.
Yeah,
that's just my thoughts.
Like I said, I try to study every aspect. Whenever I studied it, there was a lot of rules and kind of things that you kind of fit into whenever you did work. Now, I'm not a letterer at all. But the reason I studied it is because I wanted to look for that aspect whenever I was hiring someone. So whenever you have those tales and the different ways that they look, sometimes it kind of draws your eyes different ways. But like I said, the way they utilized it, I thought it worked very well.
Nice. And moving on to the next story, I thought this book was loads of fun. Not quite the spelling that you'd expect from such a title, but it's No Holds Barred. That's Bard. This was originally a Kickstarter way back in 2018. Written and created by Eric Gladstone, art by Gabriel M. Kari, letters by Ines Bravo, and colors by Ines Bravo, and letters by Aditya Bidikar. I'm really sorry if I'm butchering your name, but okay. This was fun. I mean, you've been a writer. William Shakespeare, was he ever an inspiration to you?
Yeah, I definitely read a lot of his work, because, they have it in high schools and here and there. And obviously you see it in movies. So you definitely go back and kind of read some of his stuff and pick up, the way he told stories. So it definitely influenced my writing. And I think just about everybody else in the world.
I think so, yeah. But what did you think of seeing him in a comic book story?
I thought it was definitely different. To me, whenever you have a historical figure, it's kind of a harder sell. But this one was unique in that aspect of, and I don't know how to put it, but did it remind you of a William Shakespeare, Batman, Robin?
Actually wrote that. I wrote that. So
Gallivant. Yes. Have you ever seen the show Gallivant?
No, I haven't seen Gallivant, but I did see a lot of Batman 66 in this story. I really, really did.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it reminded me. It's like you put all three of those in there. And if you haven't ever seen Gallivant, it's kind of like a Peter Pan with the musical kind of thing. So it's like Men in Tights, if you will. You put all that in a mix and you shake it up, and that's what it seems like what you got right here. That William Shakespeare, Batman, Gallivant kind of thing.
And I love it how like when you see Shakespeare speak, it's written differently in a different text, and its wording is very different. To say his ward just talks a little bit of that ye old English, but not quite to the Shakespearean level.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It did have that old English atmosphere kind of thing to their language.
Yeah,
there were some times where it seemed like it let up, but it helped the story flow the way they were trying to make it, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. And I was like thinking the first 2 pages, I was like a little bit like frustrated with the amount of text.
Yeah.
And also the beating around the bush, but you can kind of tell that Shakespeare is a little bit of a, I mean, obviously he's very intelligent, but he's a little bit of a buffoon. I gotta say,
Yeah,
in
a
some
little bit
ways, in
quirky.
some ways,
Yeah,
yes. And that's when I began to like the character, because I was like, okay, all right, it's done deliberately.
yeah, yeah.
Everything is
And that's what it
overworded.
was. It was like they were doing it to kind of push a little bit of a laugh, and it
Yeah,
worked the way they did it.
yeah, definitely. I mean, this would be amazing if this were a TV series, like in the Batman '66 format, because it actually would work. This would be loads and loads of fun, and I'm really happy that this book was originally a Kickstarter, had actually found light in a through a publisher and hitting the local comic book stores. So I'm very very happy with this, and it actually was loads of fun.
It definitely was like I said, a unique story. The way they told it, it was one of those things that definitely has a niche for itself.
Yeah, 100%. And I honestly, I think the colors and the art in this were amazing. I think the way it was illustrated, it's very clean. It's very easy to follow, and it's just so funny how Shakespeare just like he's a superhero, but he can't fight. Like that's just the best.
Yeah, and like I said, it's kind of that Batman mix. You got
Yeah,
that lovable rapport between him and his aide, and he's like, I don't really remember what part of it. He was like, "Are you the person that I'm following, or are you following me?" kind of thing.
Mm.
So it's like it kind of shocked me, the humor that it had in it,
Yeah.
but the story itself was flowing pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's very smooth, and a little bit like there's a few different arcs to this story, considering it's just one issue, and I really like that. It wasn't like a whole drag on. There was a few different chapters, if you will, in the story that took us to different areas, and yeah, and it was just one of those fun, like kind of like murder mystery, and
Like a Mad Magazine kind of story.
yeah, it
Yeah.
really was. It really was, and the art is spot on. That's one of my favorite panels. No, it was good. It was actually a really fun read, and you definitely got to pick it up if you're after something a little bit original, a little bit of humor. Humor doesn't hurt anybody.
Right.
Yes, and now we've gone from kind of like light, like it's kind of like darkish to light, and now we're going to a little bit of darkness here, and it's Quad, Terra, and Elvis. This is by artist Eduardo Shaw. And this is part of a post-apocalyptic universe. So there's a few different Quad stories out there. Another one's called Wall, Trent, Sally, but written by completely different artists and creators. So, but they fit in the same narrative. And it's one of those books. So just like wow, like really well written. And the black and white, like something just tells me that color is just not needed here. What did you think of that? Did you like it being black and white?
So originally I thought I wasn't going to, but it really pulled me in. I'm a big fan of color. So whenever I saw this and I started reading it, I was
Mm,
I was taken by the art, tell you the truth.
mm,
And then the
mm.
story pulled me in itself.
Yes.
This was the first book that I read, and I thought it was going to be the favorite of all of them, because
Mhm.
once I got into it, it just was like a magnet that pulled me in.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And the fact is, like, we're introduced to a character we don't really know much about.
Right.
Still, kind of don't know a lot about her. It's just that
Right.
she's given a task and she has to go out into the middle of the desert. Um, but it's what happens. It's amazing, right?
Right. It's that
Yeah.
journey that she has to take to get there. She starts out, with her handler or her friend who she's trusting to send her on assignments. And
Mhm.
and then the problems just start from there, and they don't seem to stop. It's like
Yeah.
a roller coaster ride that just slowly goes and then just punches his way, and it keeps going left and right all the way through. It really did keep my attention and pull me in every turn it took.
Yeah, and you know what I really like about the art, though, especially the coloring. I know I'm saying coloring here, but it almost looks like someone had purchased a black and white TV and watching full color in black and white. That's what it feels like, because it doesn't feel like we're getting two tones of color or two tones of gray. We're getting all sorts of different tones, and I think that's amazing.
And I think it helped build that atmosphere of that wasteland that she was in, and the unknown that she was traveling through and trying to figure out. I think it really lent into every aspect of the story.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong. And I think this will be a book for the horror fans, and but also too, like I mentioned, like there's other titles in Quad. I wonder what those books are going to be like.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued, because, as I said, there are different artists, different creators, so we could be seeing different side notes from this universe. And another thing I thought too, Rabbit, I kind of feel like this is sort of like a story being told in the dark. When you say turn off the lights, you got a bit of that little bit of darkness there. That's why color wouldn't be really necessary.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. Especially with the dialogue that she had between her cat. I loved her pet, and I don't want to give away, just about anything that's huge in the book, but the cat itself was great.
Yeah,
and in the middle of this wasteland, it was awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The cat's name's in the title: Tara, the lady, and Elvis the cat. What a name.
And it really worked. I mean, talking throughout the book with the cat and getting to know the cat and how they're bonding, and the ending, and all that stuff at the end, the last few pages, it was like, wow.
Yeah, definitely, and it doesn't feel like a Walking Dead story as well. Like, the zombies are there, but they're only in it for probably a few panels or even a couple of pages, but they're not the all and end all in the story. And you're right, because I mean, look, so I'll be honest with you. I talked to my cat, and I'm sure a lot of cat owners will be doing exactly the same. So there's nothing unusual there, and I thought it was a great story, and the finale was just like, wow.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head with the zombies. They were more atmosphere, and that the whole wasteland was creating the scene for what was going to happen, and that first checkpoint or problem that she ran into was kind of like a stepping stool for what was coming up ahead, but you didn't really know what was coming up ahead because the story kind of hit it so well.
Yeah, because it kind of has that Blade Runner 2049 feel to it as well. Like, you've got this, obviously she's got a cat, but she's a little bit of a loner. She's on her own, and she's going out to investigate. In a world that's kind of like, we don't know what's out there really. And I just love that atmosphere. And again, this would be another book I'd love to see into a movie. Like, it'll be amazing.
It really was. I mean, the way they set things up, the way they brought the characters in, the communication with her and the cat, and like I said, them building the suspense without you even knowing it. It really was unique. Now, I judge a lot of comics whenever I read them about, if I had $5, would I buy this one first? And in all honesty, I thought this was going to be the best one, and because that story really was great.
Yeah, no, it was. And I like the cover too. The cover has that old like gold key type feel. Talking like comics from like the early 60s. It has that feel to it, which I like. And the art, the cover art is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Here's that lead up up to that. And I love the panel use as well. There's so many panels. And the thing I like about the panels, Rabbit, is that no two panels are alike. Sometimes they show the same image of the same person, but maybe just a slightly different facial expression. But all the panels here are all different.
And it was good and subtle whenever they were using panels. This is one of the things that I definitely look for. You notice in this one specifically, you know, they break that panel on that first one to kind of give you that feel of confidence and stuff. And then you start to go and you feel like you're okay and everything's okay in the scene. And again, I'm not going to give anything away, but
no, definitely don't. But
page,
right.
You know, it does. It makes you feel like you're comfortable the way it's laid out.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next page, it's all the polar opposite. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Definitely, this one is one of the better ones I've read from Behemoth, I got to say.
It was worth the money if you buy that. Yeah. Now, this one.
Okay. All right.
This one was my favorite.
Yes, I think I've got to say the same. All right, let me just do the introduction. So this is called Until My Knuckles Bleed by Spanish cartoonist Victor Santos. This is under the Happy Tank imprint. So Happy Tank is like the Top Cow in Image, right? So they've got a few different books. They've got their own website as well. Happy Tank, just Google search it. You'll definitely find a load of information from them. So where do we start, Rabbit? I mean, let's talk the flashback scenes, shall we?
Well, it did start with the flashback, and it built up, it led in, it introduced, it gave you a climax and a story within a story, and then it made you feel the character. And that's one of the things whenever I pick up a comic book. Is it going to make me feel the character? Is it going to pull me into that story? How is it going to flow? And what's going on? You know, can I relate to anything or everything? This was great. This definitely, I would have spent my last dollar on.
No, 100%. And look, I can relate because I grew up in the era where the flashbacks are coming from. So I kind of can see where I was when I picked up, say, my first Youngblood, X-Force.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I didn't really get my hands on Sin City till I was much older, but I did see them in the Wizard magazine. So here we see the top panel there is a flashback scene from when the main character was a superhero back in his day, right?
Yeah.
And there's a combination of Liefeld, Sin City, like pouches, swords, big guns, like, oh my goodness. It tickled all my fancies.
It really did. Like I said, the lead up, because like the first page or two, I think was flashback, and then I was like, where's it going with this? Is it all going to be black and white? And then the color hit, and then I realized that was modern time, and then you started getting into the story of this character who had so much past that it just showed you, but still led you into more.
Yeah.
It was so unique. I thought it was great.
Oh, same. It's almost like you've seen The Incredibles.
Yeah.
It's like an R-rated version of Incredibles. Like, you know, you've got a character who was a superhero back in his prime, and now he's living the modern life. I believe he was married, but is now single, and he's just working, and he's a has-been.
Yeah, I don't know if it. You toss out names like Sin City and The Incredibles. To me, it was like the Boys, a little bit like The Boys, and a little bit like a Watchmen. So it's like, you know, I don't really want to toss those names out because those are such great comics, but this one definitely was amazing.
Yeah, well, I like it, like you're saying, like you're throwing names out there, but this could be fans of those books will definitely enjoy this. Definitely enjoy this. And to be honest with you, the cover of the title of the book doesn't yet match the story that we're getting, right?
No, I agree with you. But the story itself, I don't know what you could title it because it was so good, so different.
Yeah.
So
it's very fresh. I got to tell you, it's fresh.
Yeah.
And
I in all honesty, I thought about that because I was like, I don't know where the title came from specifically, but I don't know what I would have titled it either.
Could have been the way maybe it was translated from Spanish to English, and they might have had a different name and just couldn't think of something. They're just going, let's give it an original name. But my goodness gracious me, the cover art on this is just mind blowing. And look at that, almost like a three panel page, right?
And it looks like it's three different different comics. And whenever you open it and start reading it, it feels like it's different comics, but it's all connected. And it doesn't make you get lost. It doesn't veer off course. What it does is pull you in deeper with every different panel. That right there, it looks like three different comics. You've got that flashback, that new age that he's talking about, and then him in his time and what he's talking about. So it's like, whenever I first read those first pages and then it switched, I thought it would start losing me, but it never did.
No, it never did, right? And I like it. The panels is like, it's not an overly wordy script, but it does use a lot of visuals to tell the story. So
yeah, there were some panels that I thought were absolutely amazing. There's one where I think he was like in a bathroom or whatnot, and the first top two or three panels was him like holding something, and then the sixth panel was a continuation of that one picture, but the fourth and fifth were not the continuation. It was a continuation of the story. So it was like the way they used the panels in this were definitely different than what I was used to, but some of the stuff that I strive to see.
Yeah. And I love this page too. Oh my gosh.
The way they break up the panels sometimes, and then the way they, angle them and then make that one square in there a little bit familiar wise. Hey, like I said, to me, the whole book was unique. I would have spent my last dollar on this one.
Yeah, no, I would too. And it's just one of those pleasant surprises if you were to find this in your local comic book store. Like,
now, it is also a mature rated comic. I want to make sure you get that out there. I've never exactly really been a big fan of mature rated comics, but let me tell you, with this one, it wasn't that they were throwing it out there, and it really was used for the story wise.
Yeah, true. Like, you're not just throwing F-bombs out there unnecessarily, or, it's just used very, very subtly. And, God, it's such a good story. It really is. And you could tell the guy's got a good heart, right?
Yeah. I mean,
he's got a really good heart.
It's like he's got a good heart and he's devastated at the same time, because I mean, the way he's sitting there talking to his ex-wife and what's going on between him and her, that's building that part of the story. It's like you feel for the guy and then you're heartbroken for him. I mean, so much at the same time.
And I mean, some people are, can be a superhero and have, no worries in life and just be always make the right decisions at the right time. But there are sometimes you just make the wrong decision and it can haunt you for the rest of your life.
Right.
And that's kind of what you have here with the character.
Yeah. I mean,
by his past. And he kind of wishes he could go back. You kind of sense that he wishes he could go back and be a superhero again.
Yeah. I mean, it's that story of what had happened in the past and where it's gotten him now. And even though he's still trying to be a good person, it's like he don't know what to do. And, like I said, it just pulls you in every which way to feel not only bad for him, but to feel good that he is a good person.
Yeah, definitely. And, so this is a kind of book, like if you just after something very original, and I just wonder though if they're going to make it full black and white when he goes back into the superhero costume or his guys. I wonder.
I know that whole group. I wonder what's going to happen, because I was left wondering all that stuff too. I'm like, where do they go from here?
Yeah, And I mean, I think it's only 2 issues in, so it's a relatively new book. It only got released 26th of Jan, so it's a very new book. And
Well
Happy
done
Tank,
to the whole
I'm a
crowd.
happy reader.
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, and we're going to be talking about the books. I mean, I think we're equal here in thinking that this is our favorite.
Yeah. I mean, by far. Yeah. Like I said, I thought the other one, was it Quad?
Quad, yeah.
Yeah.
Terran Elvis, yeah.
Yeah. That really was good. And whenever I read that, I thought that was going to be my favorite book of the week, as a matter of fact. But whenever I read this, I was, wow.
Yeah. And again, we're getting writers and creators from different countries introducing us to new content. And it's great that we're getting something that's original and different.
Yeah.
And using a lot of homages, that we can look back and go, oh, yeah, I remember those sort of superhero costumes from the 90s. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Man.
And all the stories that we related this book to, it was because it was such a great book, and it didn't exactly copy any of those.
No,
but
no way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it had its own feel to it, but these are the books that were closest relatable to it. And it was so unique.
Yeah. And I just love the art style of Spano as well. I mean, of Santos. Santos's art is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
It gives that edginess to the character, and everyone else kind of looks soft, but he's drawn in a very unique way, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, it really was good. Like I said, that whole team did a great job on this one, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And I think overall, like, if you just are after something different, I think Behemoth you cannot sleep on. Like, seriously, I think all the books that we've read today are, obviously we picked our favorite, but they're all good books. Yeah. I mean, No Holds Barred was a lot of fun. I think that to me was my second favorite of the bunch. I just thought it was just fun to take a back step into escapism and just have a good laugh and have an enjoyment. But what was your second favorite book?
My second favorite was the Quad one with that cat ending. Like I said, it
was amazing. I have to admit,
it pulled me in with her and her relating to the cat the way she did, and it just was good. It really, really good.
Yeah, and definitely Nine Stones. I think Nine Stones is a book that you need to keep reading. I think they're up to like issue number 6 now, so they've been out a while. I think Nine Stones has been out probably one of the longest in their run. So definitely do yourself a favor and check out those books as well, because I think Behemoth in the next couple of years are going to be one of the top. Like, I believe they're the like ninth ranking in terms of book distributors. So definitely one to keep your eye out on, because I mean you have many different ways of reading.
Yeah, and Behemoth's doing a lot of great things. I mean, with these books, and then I believe they have MF XZ.
Yes.
And they're doing strides with that book. I've heard so many people talk about it. Whenever I heard we were doing Behemoth, I was actually hoping that was going to be one we saw.
I was hoping to get a copy. I couldn't get a copy of that, but
I mean, these were great books.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
So I mean, with that at their helm, and then all these other great books behind them, I don't see how they're doing wrong. Them being two years in, crazy. I think they're doing great.
Yeah, definitely. And having that, the Happy Tank imprint as well. See, KZ is also with Happy Tank. So definitely some good books there, and more to come. They're not stopping, that's for sure.
I mean, with these books, I wouldn't want to stop either.
Yeah. So please, guys, if you can, check out your local comic book store. Ask them about your Behemoth or their Behemoth titles. See if they've got it, and they can. Because I think this is the kind of book that they will get a low run on, because of, obviously they're still up and coming. But definitely ask your local comic book store to reserve one for you, and then hopefully they'll be issuing more, and then more people can get their hands on these amazing titles. All right, guys, it's time to wrap up. Any final words, Rabbit?
Just, have a great week. Enjoy your comics. Do what you do and be nice to everyone.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to wrap it here. All right, there's only two of us today, Rabbit. Let's give it a shot. Sunder Katz.
Oh, I think I was a little off.
But it was better than others. All right, guys. See you all next time.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.shop. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.